Thank you very much for coming. As Yoko sensei introduced, I'm Yukiko Yamami, and today I want to talk about what is phonics and how it is applied. And I was surprised that so many people are not from Japan today. So specifically today, I want to talk about what is phonics and how it is applied for Japanese students. So some of the studies I conducted and also what I tried was for Japanese students who have Japanese language as a first language. So this is specifically about Japanese students today I want to talk about. So next, first I want to talk about what is synthetic phonics. There are some phonics instruction, but today I want to talk specifically about synthetic phonics. Synthetic phonics is explicit instruction on how to connect a sound and also a letter and letters. For example, a sound of S connects a letter S, and a sound of I connects a letter I, and a sound of T connects a letter T. After students learn these connections, when students see the word sit, they can pronounce as sit, and when they hear the word sit, they can write S-I-T, sit. This is a synthetic phonics. Literature review. This is a literature review. This is a study from UK. In UK, many students who left primary school unable to read properly and continue to struggle in secondary school. And sometimes students drop out of school. So UK government searched for ways to improve students' literacy, so reading, writing, and spelling skills. This UK study, in UK, longitudinal study for first graders was conducted, and the study found that using synthetic phonics instruction improved students' literacy. Because and also, synthetic phonics was especially effective for students who learn English as an additional language, because there are so many children of immigrants in UK. And also the study found that synthetic phonics enabled students to become enthusiastic and confident in reading. Another study is from America. This is a long project from America. This study found that it is important to consider if English is the first language or second language for children, because children acquire different phonological systems depending on their first language. Therefore, explicit pronunciation practice is necessary for some sounds which don't exist in children's first language. And next, I investigated some studies about Japanese children. Well, there are studies about Japanese children, and it says Japanese and English have very different phonological systems. Therefore, implicit exposure to English does not enable Japanese students to distinguish English sounds. Therefore, explicit pronunciation practice is necessary for Japanese students who learn English. Then I had the idea that synthetic phonics will be effective for Japanese students also who learn English as a foreign language. However, based on these literature reviews, explicit pronunciation practice is necessary for some sounds which don't exist in Japanese. So what are the sounds that don't exist in Japanese? So I wanted to investigate the sounds which don't exist in Japanese. So I actually conducted a study regarding features and difficulties of Japanese 5th and 6th graders' English pronunciation. First, 20 Japanese 5th and 6th graders pronounced 20 English words with picture cards, and their pronunciation were recorded, and 4 English speakers, American, British, Australian, Filipino, listened to the recordings and checked how they sounded. These are the pictures shown to students for recording. So students look at the picture of pink and pig and two and tree and key, and they pronounce each word by looking at these pictures, and all the pronunciation were recorded. And I want to talk about results from this recording study. Result 1, English L sounds and English R sounds are the most difficult for the students. So it is said that it is necessary to demonstrate how they are different from Japanese sounds. And result 2, there are no aspiration of t at the initial position of the word tree. So a lot of students' pronunciation were judged as 3. So aspiration of p, t, k are crucial to teach them. Result 3, deletion of s sounds at the end of grapes are detected. So numerical concept should be taught combined with pronunciation practice because there is no numerical concept for Japanese language. Result 4, some English vowels which are similar to Japanese are hard for Japanese students because there are 25 to 40 vowels in English, whereas there are only 5 vowels in Japanese. So some English vowels should be focused to teach them. So based on these literature reviews and results, next I want to talk about how to conduct synthetic phonics to Japanese students. I am going to explain how to conduct synthetic phonics instruction using cards and pictures from this book. And this is a book I wrote 4 years ago, and the title is English Pronunciation and Phonics. And today I want to use pictures and charts and cards from this book. First, we learn letter names. I teach students that explicitly letter names and letter sounds are different for English. So I explain clearly that letter names and letter sounds are different. Then students learn their letter names of A to Z by pointing to letters using the charts. After learning letter names, students place letter cards by pronouncing letter names. So this is a card included in a book, and students pronounce A, P, G, all the letter names, and put A to Z order by themselves. After learning letter names, students learn letter sounds. So sounds of letters A to Z are introduced, especially focusing on English sounds, which are difficult for Japanese students. So difficult mean which don't exist in Japanese. So alphabet A sounds A, and B sounds B, C sounds K, to Z sounds Z are introduced. Especially, I focused on especially the difficult pronunciation for Japanese. What are difficult sounds? From the study, it was pointed out that pronunciation for letter L and letter R are the most difficult for Japanese students. So I explicitly introduced how to pronounce L sounds L and R sounds So to pronounce L sounds L, we have to put the tongue firmly on the back of the front teeth. And I also showed this picture of the mouth for the students to show how to pronounce L sounds L. Also, how to pronounce R sounds is introduced. To pronounce R sounds you have to put your tongue never touches the mouth. So this is very difficult for Japanese because Japanese always touch the tongue inside of the mouth. So I showed these pictures to the students and explained that your tongue never touches the mouth. So this is a difference between English L sounds and Japanese rariru. So English L sounds L, you have to put your tongue firmly inside of the mouth and back of the front teeth. But pronunciation for Japanese rariru, your tongue is slightly touching inside of the mouth. So this is a slight differences. And compared to R sounds, Japanese rariru and English R sounds are very, very different because, as I told, English R never touches the tongue. So differentiate between R sounds and Japanese rariru are very difficult, and we practiced many times and show this pictures to the students to differentiate between R and Japanese rariru. And also pronunciation for p, t, k are also crucial. So I conducted how to pronounce p, t, k aspiration sounds. To pronounce aspiration of p, t, k, I asked students to put your hand or a piece of paper in front of the mouth and feel the air when you pronounce p, t, k. So feel the air on your hand or move the paper with the air. Because Japanese papipupepo and tachituteto and kakikukeko, we don't use a lot of air, but to pronounce English aspiration of p, t, k, we need a lot of air. So this is a different from Japanese sound. Also, the vowels are found to be very difficult for Japanese to pronounce. So pronunciation for letter A sounds a, which is similar to Japanese is introduced. To pronounce A sounds a, we have to open a mouth horizontally, vertically wide, and also open your mouth wide to the jaw hearts. So should be like this. Now it's very different from Japanese Also, pronunciation for letter U, is similar to Japanese and to pronounce letter U, sounds, you have to open your mouth a little and you put your pinky into your mouth. So you just open like this size and pronounce And actually, this is more similar to Japanese sounds. So after learning letter and sounds, we learn letter and sound combination. I show students letters and combine their sounds to make a word. For example, letter M sounds plus letter A sounds a plus letter T sound t makes a word mat. And letter H sounds h plus letter A sounds a plus letter T sound t makes a word hat. And letter R sounds plus letter A sounds a plus letter T sounds t makes the word rat. And students learn these combinations by connecting the sounds and letters. After learning combinations, students practice with the cards. For example, when students hear the word of mat, they place the letter M-A-T to create the word mat by themselves. And the teacher can practice with a lot of three-letter words. And by pronouncing three-letter words, students can hear the word and try to create the word by themselves using cards and the sheet. So rhyming for letter A sounds and letter U sounds is also explained. The rhyming is very good for students to catch English sounds, and also and it's very rhythmically very effective. For example, bat, mat, hat, rat, tap, lap, map, sap, sun, gun, run, fun, but, cut, nut, hut. So these are rhyming to practice together with English students. Also, three-letter words bingo is conducted using the words below to differentiate vowels. So students pick 9 words from these words, and they write down 9 words using a sounds and sounds. So to play bingo game, students have to differentiate the vowels. So it's very good practice to differentiate a vowels and vowels. After learning 1-letter sounds, 2 letters and 1 sounds are introduced. So this is a card. These are card, 2 letters, 1 sound card. So I show the students SH card, and instead of saying SH makes 1 sound of sh, and CH card, I show the students CH card, and instead of making the CH makes 1 sound of ch, and also CK sounds is not k, k, k. It makes 1 sound of k, and TH is not t. The TH has 2 sounds. One is z, and the other one is th. And also PH makes 1 sound of f, and also OO have 2 sounds, and one is and the other one is oo. So I showed the OO letter and explained there are 2 vowels of oo. And also EE and EA both makes the sound of E. And I showed the 2-letter cards and explained E sounds for both. And also AI and AY cards also makes the sounds of A for both. So I explained AI and AY makes 1 sound of A, it's like A, and also IR makes the sound of R. So after explaining these 2-letter cards makes 1 sound, I turn over the card, and each card has words including these 2 letters. So students try to read all the words back of each card. And sometimes students have difficulties to pronounce. So I give feedback if students have difficulties. And they try to read words by themselves, and they find very enthusiastic to read by themselves. So, but finally, I want to say phonics alone is not enough. And actually, phonics is very effective to connect the sounds and letters, and it helps students read and increase literacy. But phonics alone is not enough. The amount of exposure to English is most important. So I have students read books by themselves. I made a time for students to read books by themselves. And students reported that they wanted to read more and willing to read books by themselves in English. And they also commented that because they learned phonics, they can read books and they want to read more. So it's very good to have time to read books by themselves. And these are references. The study in England, in UK and America, also in Japan. And this is a book I wrote, and thank you very much for listening. And